Hi guys, hi, it's part 3 of the castle modeling, and so we just finished off building and modeling our gatehouse, and so now we're going to add a little gatehouse base to our thing. So we are going to go into wireframe mode, and we are going to go into front view, which is number pad 1, there we go, and we're going to select the gatehouse, which it already is, and then we're going to tab into edit mode. They want us to do now is they want us to do this vertex right here. They want us to select it by right clicking. Then they want us to hit Shift S, and because we're going to snap the cursor to that point, so we're going to select snap cursor. Cursor to selected. Yes, that's it. So now we're going to go to top view, and we're going to go to back to object mode, because now we want to add a plane object, and you always want to add those objects in object mode so that they're not connected together. So Shift A, and we're going to add a plane object. Okay, so now we want to go into edit mode, and what we want to do now is we want to deselect those by hitting A, and we want to box select the top 2 vertices, and then we want to bring them down with the green widget arrow. There we go. Okay. We want to now extrude those, so we're not going to deselect those or anything. We're going to extrude them. So, and it's not quite on the y-axis because I can't see that blue line or the green line, but now I can. So now we're going to extrude it, and we're going to extrude it to about the length of those cornice walls that we could see. So there we go. So we're going to left click to that way. And now we're going to deselect those, A, and we're going to box select these 2 over here on the right, and we're going to extrude on the X. And see, I can see that I'm not on the X because I don't see that line, but now that I hit X, I can see it, that red line. And we're going to extrude to about there, just where that arch opening is happening. All right, so now we're going to deselect those. We are going to, oh, I forgot to, sorry, box select those again. I apologize. Box select, we're going to extrude one more time. Extrude on the x-axis to about there or so. And now we are going to deselect those now. And now we're going to box select those 2 that we just made. And we are going to extrude on the Y. I know it's on the Y because of the green. And then we're going to take it back all the way the depth of the gatehouse. Okay. All right, so if we take that into solid mode so you can kind of see what we did do. We made we're making a base for this, so that's what we did there. So now let's go back into wireframe mode. We are going to go to the front view, and now what we're going to do is we're going to select all those vertices. So we're going to press A. You might have to do it twice to get them all selected. And then what we're going to do is we're going to extrude them up, and this time we want to be on the Z-axis, so we're going to hit Z. You can see that it's already confined to the Z-axis because of that blue line, so I'm not going to hit Z, and we're going to extrude it up about that much or so. All right. Okay, and then they want us to extrude up a little bit more, just like that. Okay. Okay, so just to kind of see what we did, so we have this, and so, okay, so now we're going to stay in solid mode for a minute. What they want us to do now is they want us to deselect those. Deselect those, there you go. Now we're going to go into edge select, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this edge right here, and with our widget arrow we're going to move that in. I'm going to middle mouse button that in so we can zoom in a little bit. There we go. And with our widget arrows I'm going to move that in because we're making kind of like these you know, like these little slope kind of things. We're going to do that same thing over here. So I'm going to select that edge. I'm going to move that in over here. I'm just using my widget arrow. And then again, I'm going to select that edge. And with my green arrow, I'm going to widget it in. Okay, so the fun part becomes these two little vertices right here. See this one and this one? Those aren't as easy. We're trying to get this vertex to this corner and that vertex to that corner. And so the way you do that is go to vertex select, and we're going to deselect those. We're going to select just this one, and we're going to grab it with the G, and we're going to move it and middle mouse button around. Whoops. Until we can kind of get it to where we want it to be. I think I was actually almost, not quite. Not bad. Maybe move it in a little bit that way. Not bad. Move it out just a little bit. Up. Okay, I'm going to grab this one. Do the same thing. I'm going to grab it with the G. Middle mouse button around. Grab it this way. Oh, not too bad. Let's see if I can't grab it just again. Let's see if that, not too bad. All right, so there's your gatehouse base left, I think is what they want us to call it. Yep. All right, so I'm going to tab out of this. This plane over here that's in white, I know that that's my object. So gatehouse base left. Okay. And I am going to save my file. We are currently on page 89. File, save as 89. Okay, so now we get to do the fun part, and we are going to actually duplicate this gatehouse, and we're going to move it to the other side, just like we did our towers, but we actually get to flip it this time too. Okay, so our gatehouse base left is selected. We're going to hit Alt-D like we did last time with the towers. And I'm going to set it back down with a left click, and then we're going to move it over with our red widget arrow over here, but we can see that it's not quite long enough what we want. And so what we're going to do now is that we are going to go to our scale. Our scale, I believe on the X, believe is what we want. So so we're going to hit -1. We're going to put in a -1 instead of a +1 there, and you can kind of see that it just flipped. And so do you see, like right here, the piece is longer? That is a feature for you to remember, because you will do this maybe in your own project. I remember last year there was a student who needed to know how to flip something, and we had to go back to this exact exercise and figure out how to mirror it because we couldn't remember. So anyway, so that's something to remember. So we flipped it with the scale of the x-axis, and we're going to call this gatehouse base right. So we just need to change this left 001 to right. Okay. All right, so now we're going to do cornice blocks yet another way. And so we are going to go to top view number 7. Whoops, there we go. Top view number 7. And we are going to go into wireframe mode. And we are going to place our 3D cursor, it says near the lower left front corner, near the lower left front corner. So kind of like, it's kind of right, still there. There we go. Kind of like right there. And then we're going to hit Shift A. We are still in object mode. Let's deselect that other one. There we go. And then let's hit Shift A. And this time we're going to add a cube. Not a plane, but a cube. Okay, so we did that. We want to set the dimensions to 1 by 1 by 1 over here. You see the dimensions are 2 by 2 by 2, so we want to make those a little bit smaller. Oops. There we go. Enter. Really? There we go. 1. Okay, so there it became a lot smaller. We're going to go to our front view, number 1, and see where it is. It's way down there. So we are going to move it so that it is right at the top of our gatehouse. So it's going to be right there, and we're going to move it over. Let me scroll in so you can kind of see where I'm putting it. Okay, so I'm kind of sitting it right on top of my gatehouse. If you wanted me to go into solid mode so you can see what I'm doing, there's, oh, well, you can't quite see. There, there's my solid mode. Maybe I would want to move it back just a little bit. It's hard to work in a 3D environment, isn't it? All right, there we go. Much better. All right, so now we're going to do something that we've never done before, and that is we're going to add a modifier. So we're going to add a modifier, and we're going to select array modifier. Whoops. Array. Okay, and so we're going to set the count to 10. So there's a 10, but we don't want them all together like that. So we want to check mark the constant offset. There's that one. Reading right from the directions, and the x constant offset to be about 2.22. Okay, so right here, 2.22. And so what that did is that just kind of gives some space in between those cornice blocks, and so we didn't have to extrude or anything. So and this is all still one object, and so what we're going to do now is we're going to name that gatehouse cornice blocks. Gatehouse cornice blocks. Okay, so we're going to deselect those. We're going to go into solid shading, and we're going to kind of just see what that looks like. I might move those forward just a little bit. Let's see. So they're just at the edge. Let me see how they look on this side. Wow, he really did the math. It does really fit really well on top of that, doesn't it? All right, let's see. All right, so we are going to save this file again. We are now on page 94. So again, I'm going to make a new file just if I have to have a backup. That's what I do this for. All right, and I think we're about finished except just adding some ground. So we're going to go into front view number 1. We're going to go into wireframe, and let's see, we're going to press the A key to select everything. And what they want us to do now is they just want us to move this up above the grid floor, which should be this. Yeah, so there's the grid floor. They just wanted us to move it up, and we did that with the blue widget arrow. Okay, so now we want to move our cursor to 0, 0, 0. So that's down here, 0, 0, 0. We are going to go to top view 7. We are going to go to Shift A to add a plane object, mesh plane object. We're going to set our dimensions to 100 by 100 for X and Y. 100, 100. Okay. We want to put in the properties panel, set the Z location to 0.1. Z location to 0.1. I think that's moving it just to above the grid. This will lift the plane slightly off the grid. Name this object ground. All right, ground. Okay. All right, so what we've done, they want us to go into solid mode, and there's our ground. So we no longer see a grid. The grid's right there, okay, but we no longer see the grid. Now we see some ground that it's sitting on, okay. All right, well, congratulations. You have now just made a castle. Now our next part, I'm going to pause it here for just a minute. This is page 96, and I am going to go to my text string. So go ahead and pull up your text string information if you want to follow along with me. Make sure you have Wallstone saved in your H file or your H drive, and I will be right back. Alright guys, so we are ready to start texturing this. So I have pulled up the texturing directions, and so the first thing that we're going to do is, if you remember, the very first thing that we did in the last, when we started the castle, was we moved the camera and the lamp to layer 20. So what we're going to do is now we're going to combine these two layers together. Layer 1 is now active, so if I hold down Shift and I'm going to click layer 20, what that will do is that will bring back my, make sure that they're both gray. Make sure that they're both gray. And I don't know, they're in there. Do you see that in there? Okay, so you can tell, compared to that camera, you can tell that this is really, really big. So what we need to do is we need to click on the camera, and over here in the camera area, it's right there. It looks like a little movie camera. What we need to do is we need to change this clipping to 500, because like it's not set up for a big enough area right now. So we need to do that, and so that'll help us set up our camera a little bit more easily. And so what we want to do now is we want to kind of get like a left view of our castle right now. So I'm going to scroll out a little bit, and then I'm going to hit Control Alt and then 0. Oh, that's not too bad actually. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more, middle mouse button around just a little bit. I hit 0 to get out of that view. I'm going to hit Control Alt 0 again. I want to move that down just a little bit, so I'm going to hold down Shift, hold down my middle mouse button, and I don't know why it sometimes wants to work and sometimes does not. There it goes. I don't know. Control Alt 0. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. Okay, so that's the view that we're going to have when we start to texture this thing. Okay, so let me see. We've done that. We've done that. Okay. All right, so now we're going to do, we're going to go into the quad view. If you remember, Control Alt Q will do that. And so they want us to take this lamp that we have right now, and select the lamp object there. Oh. Where's our lamp? Isn't that our lamp? Yes, that's our lamp. In the front viewport, so here's our front viewport, we're going to move it up and to the left. Okay, so we're going to move this up and to the left. So just like that. We might want to move it up just a little bit. So now we're giving it some light so that it doesn't look dark. Some of you have said, commented that it's not light enough, so here's how we are going to fix that. All right, so over here is our data object properties and things like that. So we're going to, let's see, we are going to, it's set it as a point lamp right now, right here where it says that in blue, but we're going to change that to sun so it's real nice and bright. We're going to press the R key. So in front view, we're going to press the R key, and we're going to make that sun point toward the castle, just like that. I press the R key, and so we're going to make it point toward the castle, just like that. So now they want us to place the cursor at the right side of the castle in the front viewport. Okay, so I guess just like right here. It says to the right side of the castle and to the right side. Okay, I guess over here. Sorry. Okay. Press Shift A. We're going to add a lamp, and that would be a Hemi lamp. Okay, and so we want to set the, okay, so we want to rotate that. I want to move it up and away just a little bit. There we go. I'm going to rotate it toward the castle. They want us to set the energy to 0.25, so this energy is a little bit too bright right now. Okay, so that turned that down a little bit. And then we want to render our image. Now, you can do it one of two ways. You can go up here to render and say render image. I like shortcut keys, and so what I'm going to do is I like F12. So I hit F12. Wow, that's pretty bright, isn't it? Okay, all right, so you're going to hit F12 and escape a lot over the course of texturing this. So I'm going to hit escape. Okay, all right. Okay, so I think we're going to get out of this Control-Alt-Q. And now we want to expand this. So you might want to move this down. Okay, and then so you can see all of the things that we need here. You might even want to take it out a little bit if you want. Okay. We are going to start with the ground plane. So they want us to hide all the rest of the objects so that when we, so I'm going to deselect the lamp first. Okay, so when we texture these things, that will hide them out of view so that it doesn't get in the way of everything else. Okay, so we want to turn all these things off, and I'm going to pause it while okay, so what I've done is I've turned off everything except the camera, the Hemi lamp, the sun lamp, and the ground. I turned them all off to visibility and rendering. So if I hit F12 again, all I see now is the ground. Okay, so I'm going to escape out of that. So what they want us to do is they want us to, okay, okay, so let me find the ground. There's the ground. So they want us to press the new button over here on the materials. So we're going to use a lot with materials and texturing. Materials is this little round, kind of looks shiny, and then the textures over here to me looks kind of like a checkerboard. Okay, so they want us to hit new, and they want us to call this ground. I'm double clicking material. Maybe I have to change it right here. In your version, you should be able to double click right here because that's what I've been doing at school, but I guess I got to name it right here. All right, so we're going to call it ground, and we are going to change this color. So we're going to click on the diffuse color, and we're going to change each of the red, green, and blue to a 0.3. 0.3 here, 0.3 there, 0.3 there. Okay, so it changed it to a little bit darker gray. Okay, and so if I hit F12, it's not going to look much different, is it? It looks pretty much the same, doesn't it? You can change that to another color if you really want it to be. I'm going to go ahead and stop and save this right now, just because we haven't saved it with texturing yet. So I'm going to go to File, Open, File, Save As, and I'm just going to put behind Castle Endglade, I'm going to put a T for texturing, just so I know that this is my texturing file. And then, whoops, take out that 96, and we are on page 16, texturing 16, T16. All right, so now we are going to now make the gatehouse base left. We're going to turn it on, go back to object mode. Oh, there it goes. We're going to turn it on, and we're going to make it renderable. So I'm clicking the eye and the camera. We're going to go to the gatehouse base left. So we want to deselect the ground, and we want to click on the gatehouse base left. We want to click on new material. We want to call that gatehouse base. Gatehouse base. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to press the texture button, and we are going to click the New button right here, and we're going to double click on that. I guess you have to name it down here. It's different on your version. And I'm going to call this Gatehouse Base Texture. Okay. All right. So now what we get to do is, you see where this, and we're going to be doing this again and again and again. See where this says clouds? We need to go to Image or Movie. And then what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down here where it says Open. We don't have anything over here yet. We got to open up our Wallstone. And so right here in my file, if yours isn't showing, you would go to your H drive, you would open up your Castle Blender file, and that is where your Wallstone should be. So there is a preview of my Wallstone. Okay, we are going to... Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in on this a little bit. We're going to kind of make it like this. I'm going to kind of move it over a little bit. So now I'm just setting up my view. So I'm going to hit Control-Alt-0. Oh, that's not what I want. Let's move it up a little bit. So we're setting our camera view. So let's try that. Control-Alt-0. Yeah, that works for me. And then I'm going to hit F12 and see what that looks like. Okay, so you see the stone up here on the top. Looks pretty good, right? But do you see this down here? It's striped. The reason is, and it's kind of hard to explain, I don't know all about it, but it's all the way about how it's projected. It's trying to take a flat 2D image, the Wallstone, and trying to make it fit onto a 3D object. And so all these things that we're about to change in our settings, the mapping setting, the size settings, the repeat settings, all of those have to do with how this stone is going to appear on these 3D objects. So like down here, it shows that it's rendering flat. We could change this to cube. I'm not sure if it'll change anything. I got to read ahead, but let's see if it will change anything when we render it again. Okay, so see, we did change it to cube, and I think that's what they'll have us do here in a little bit. But do you see how that, because it projected it differently onto that 3D object, it looks different. It looks a little bit better. It looks more natural. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video here. I'm going to kind of read ahead because the next few things is things that you don't necessarily need. It is good to know if you are texturing material, but it's not necessarily, there's a lot of information he includes. So I'm going to stop here for this video, and then we'll come back with video 4, and we will finish texturing the castle and bring it all together. So see you in the next video. Of course, I forgot to tell you to save it before I left. I thought I would have you do that. So we are on page 21 of texturing. So I am going to go and change 16 to 21. I guess. All right. See you in a few.